Santa Barbara Global Family. I'm so excited to announce this morning in our new moment, our new day, that we have a new member of our platform team. I've invited Chrissy Salas to come up and say good morning, and so let us welcome Chrissy. Here we go. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone, Global Unity family, and all of my Santa Barbara people. So nice to be here with you today. We have a tradition here where we light a candle. And the reason we light this candle is to remember that we are the light of the world. When I was practicing this, I heard the Grateful Dead singing. So maybe if you know that, you can sing it in your head while I light this. And there it is. Let's take a moment to say that we are the light of the world. I am the light of the world. To create this oneness and really anchor it in, we use sound. So I'm going to sound this chime. So like Heidi said, it's my first day today, so thanks for just rolling with me as I probably fumble some of the script up. In case there's anybody else out there in cyber world who's new like me, I'm going to tell you about a tradition we have here in our Unity culture, which is the Daily Word. This is a magazine that has been in print since 1924. So anybody with the quick math, we're at about 100 years already with this, which is really impressive. It's also been available by Braille since 1934 for free for anybody who needs that. It is available through Message of Hope. So please, if you know somebody who could use that little dose of hope, please share. Our daily word for today is faith. And the affirmation is, with faith, nothing is impossible for me. With gratitude, I use my faith to trust in the good that is always present, even when it is not yet manifested. As I pray with faith, I discern the truth that always endures through even the most difficult circumstances. I concentrate on harmony and love. All thoughts of lack, limitation, and discord simply dissolve. As I speak with faith, I use positive words to express my belief in myself and others as divine beings. As I act with faith, I access a deep and lasting strength and fortitude that helps me surmount any challenges. Inspired by my faith, I move forward with confidence. Nothing is impossible for me. And from the book of Matthew, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will ever be impossible for you. Thank you, Woody. So I hope you had a chance to see our vision, mission, core values, and statements of faith in our pre-service slideshow. As a community here at Unity of Santa Barbara, we chose 6 spiritual concepts to be our core values, the foundation upon which we stand. These are not meant to just be words that we say, these are meant to be lived. Please say our core values with me. We are living consciously. We are God-centered. We are community. We are abundance. We are inclusive. And we are love. So today I'm just going to share a little bit about inclusive and what that means to me. Today, inclusivity is a word that we're hearing a lot of. And so I decided I should look up what the definition was. And it says that it's including all the extreme limits. So that means the polarities, the light, the dark, the shadow, and everything in between. It means providing equal access and opportunities and resources for those marginalized or excluded. Now, to me, that just feels like all the shadowy parts within my own self. Because when I look out into the world and I see where there is lack of inclusivity, I turn that lens into myself and I ask, where in myself is this showing up? And usually I can find something. I had an incident and kind of hurt myself. Made it quite stylish because I never want to leave out my fashionable self, but I broke myself. I really did something to hurt myself, so I had to take a minute to see what was going on inside me, and there was this beautiful awareness that popped out, that in all of my excitement and exuberance for my new rediscovered love of rollerblading, yeah, typical ER visit, I forgot that I wasn't trusting the universe to give me enough time to always come out and recapture this joy. I was only holding on to the parts of me that wanted it now. I needed to have this now and not being inclusive of the part of me that was like, girl, you need to slow down. You maybe should take a rest, maybe a day off, something. I was not listening to this part of me that was used to not getting a say. So for me, it was really being able to listen, and I won't go into it because I only have a little bit of time, but I can tell you that every big thing that we're seeing in the world right now, I saw little bits of it in me, and it came out in my broken wrist, which was so weird. But I take it as a beautiful lesson, and I hope that you may just be willing to look at yourself and your inner spaces of your heart a little bit different when it comes to this idea of being inclusive in the world, being inclusive right here at our Unity of Santa Barbara home. And that's it.
Yeah, thank you. So, Prissy, thank you. It's such a big part of our spiritual journey to get up and do new things. And so thank you for sharing your heart with us. We have an announcement now that this is a friend of Unity of Santa Barbara that I've met very recently. His name's Ken Ralph. And when I got here, I was looking at the park across the way and noticed lots of homeless people and thought, I wonder what is going on in Santa Barbara that we could be part of to heal our homeless, to really bring that sense of that we're all the human beings together here in whatever we're doing in Unity. And so Ken appeared with the outreach committee. He sent an email. I thought, boy, that divine order is amazing. So here's Ken Ralph to tell you about a wonderful ministry that we'll continue to house here at Unity of Santa Barbara. Ken.
Well, good morning, and it's so nice to be back with you. You have provided tremendous support to Showers of Blessing over the past few years, and I thank you for that. Showers of Blessing is a mobile hygiene ministry that brings a shower trailer to various sites throughout the week to provide showers, free showers, a brand new pair of white cotton socks, a brand new pair of actually custom-made bamboo underwear, and clothing, toiletries, and lots of love for people who are experiencing homelessness in Santa Barbara. And we've been doing this for about 6 years, and then the pandemic struck, and things changed for us quite a bit. But before I get into that, I do want to make one comment. I love your new courtyard out here. This is fantastic. And also, it is such a pleasure to meet your new minister, Reverend Heidi. So it kind of reminds me that in the midst of difficult times, good things still happen. And I think that's been true for our ministry too. So let me just give you a little bit of background of what's happened since I last was with you with Showers of Blessing. We made a big decision when the pandemic hit that unlike many shower projects throughout the state of California, we were going to try to stay open. Most of them shut down for the sake of safety. No sooner did we make this decision than all 4 of our sites in downtown Santa Barbara shut down to us. The Catholic churches are great supporters, but they had an edict from the Archdiocese in Los Angeles saying that they could not allow any activity on their sites. Well, those were our 2 biggest sites. And also the Salvation Army as well decided to close down to bringing people onto their property. So we were just shut down to only 3 sites up in Goleta and Isla Vista. And as a director, I was kind of sweating bullets at the time, thinking, how are we going to bring these showers and really serve the homeless population, which needed it more than ever, right, with the pandemic. So we went to work, and we convinced the city to open up Pershing Park to us. Girls Inc. down on Ortega Street near Milpas have opened their parking lot to us, so we were able to get a couple of temporary sites to get by. At the same time, all of our volunteers withdrew from the project for safety's sake. And it was understandable. Most of our volunteers were older and somewhat vulnerable. So we encouraged people to step back. Well, that gave us an opportunity then to hire some of our homeless helpers at the site and put them on our payroll, and they've been terrific. We were able to get PPE. We have to equip our people at the sites now with respirators, with full body suits, booties, shields, everything so that they can sterilize and disinfect our bathrooms after every single use. It's a lot of work, but we've been able to do that, and we've been able to get some financial support from the city to pay for these employees. Now, so we're kind of coming back and serving people well, but the good things start happening. The county came in and said, your employees are doing such a good job in an essential service that we're going to house them now in motel rooms, right? Three of our helpers. They currently now have found permanent housing, all 3 of them, which is just thrilling to us, while they're still working for us. We also received a gift from the Women's Fund, a brand new $60,000 3-bathroom shower trailer to replace our old original. So all of these good things have happened. But here's the best thing. There is a new collaboration that's developed in this city of all of the service providers that want to help people who are experiencing homelessness. And this new collaboration, I think, is going to be the model for how we all move forward from here. And we're starting in Alameda Park, where we used to have our showers at Our Lady of Sorrows across the street. They used to have dinners there. They used to have Doctors Without Walls coming for medical services. We are expanding that. We are bringing back the meals. We're bringing in AmeriCorps, we're bringing in the County Housing Authority, and we're going to have a concerted effort to create these navigation centers throughout the city with all of us service providers together. So this is going to be launching actually on October 1st in Alameda Park. They've invited Showers to be part of this collaboration, so we had to find a site. I came to Heidi, and she has offered your property and your parking lot to allow us to try a new site to serve this Alameda Collaborative. And we are so thankful to do this. So we plan to start on October 8th. It will be on Thursday afternoons from 3 to 6. And there will be opportunities for you as congregants of Unity to help us with this project. We will need people to wash towels for us. We will need people to help us distribute clothing, used clothing at our sites. But quite honestly, the big thing is the site itself. And we are so thankful for this. And we will be keeping you informed about new developments and how this is going to work out. It's all an experiment for all of us. So thank you so much, Reverend Heidi, for your help. And thank you for helping us. Thank you.
So the idea is that if you want information and you want to volunteer, contact Sherry initially at unity@santabarbaraunity.org, and we'll forward it on to our outreach team. And Ken, thank you. I mean, they call the folks that are coming to have showers the customers, and I love the integrity and the honoring. Talk about inclusivity of all of us in this way of helping one another. So thank you, Ken, and more information will be provided on our e-blast. All right, so we have our first song. This is Karen Taylor Good and Stowe Daly. They're called Stowe Good, and here we go.
I met him on the south side of the Pensacola Pier, a solitary soldier of the sea. He looked to be 100, but his eyes were crystal clear. And when I spoke, I swear he saw inside of me. He said, "You're trying to figure out the wherefores and the whys. Isn't life supposed to be a big surprise? And how it's gonna turn out is not for us to know. Life's a mystery. Enjoy the show, everything will be okay. In the end, my friend, if it's not okay, it's not the end." Took a breath and let it out and felt a little peace. His wisdom seemed to soothe my troubled soul. And that weight there on my shoulders finally took its leave when I let go of trying to keep control. The old man smiled at me and said, "It was never in your hands. Don't you think it makes God laugh when we make plans? And how it's gonna turn out, it's not for us to know. Life's a mystery, yeah. Enjoy the show, everything will be okay. In the end, my friend, if it's not okay, it's not the end." The truth washed over me like some sweet song. Deep down inside, I guess I knew it all along. How it's gonna turn out, it's not for us to know, no. Life's a mystery, yeah. Enjoy the show, everything will be okay. In the end, my friend, if it's not okay, oh, if it's not okay, it's not the end. No, no.
Beautiful. Karen Taylor Good, Stowe Daly. I believe they may be in a Zoom concert here. So the question, are you enjoying the show? Are you loving the mystery? Yeah, so much of what Ken even said. If it's not okay, it's not the end. You know, we just keep on creating the new and the different. And it is really important for us to tune in and be together and remember this ever-flowing cup, this is this power that's within us to be creative, to overcome. To thine own self be true. To thine own self be true. It's a quote from Shakespeare. You know where it came from? Hamlet. And it's a quote from a speech that Polonius was giving to his son Laertes as his blessing and advice on how to behave whilst at university. Whilst. Not so much you so much, but anymore. But the idea that this was a conversation that he was giving to his son about how to really live in a way that honored who he was. And so the rest of the quote goes, "This above all, to thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day. Thou canst not then be false to any man." You don't see that texted around lately, do you? But what Polonius was trying to share with Laertes was that if he's true to himself, if he followed that sense of listening, as we might call it today, the still small voice, that there won't ever be a need to look back and say, gosh, I wish I didn't act like that, or I wish I didn't say that. That this idea of to thine own self be true allows us to make choices that are from clarity, from inspiration, from enthusiasm, from service, from all of the ways that we're really born to live. To thine own self be true. Now, our culture does not teach wisdom from within. It doesn't teach often to be in touch with yourself for answers. We're often taught to not speak. Most people have never really thought that finding their voice, being true to themselves, how does that happen? I don't know if you heard this. Maybe we have a few here today that could, children are meant to be seen and what? Not heard, yes, right? That's a real inspiration for finding your voice. It's like, yeah, just don't talk, we're in charge of you. And, you can see how valuable it would be as this father to his son, to thine own self be true. Above all, to thine own self be true. Find your voice, find your way. What do you love? And that kind of encouragement rather than this idea that you just need to be quiet. What you think about, what matters to you, not all that important. Get in line, fit in. We probably heard things like, don't upset the apple cart and don't rock the boat. And so this idea of to thine own self be true, it's like, what would that feel like? What would that look like? I don't even really know where to start. And our time of seeking our own wisdom, listening to that still small voice, following our intuition is a skill that we continue to grow in and talk about. And if one wants to live a life that's well lived, that feels the reason that you were born, this is the direction. This is the way that it works. And it's only been taught over and over by any certainly spiritual master, and our opportunity to go within. We're journeying through Tammy Keefe's book, Thriving Through Uncertainty. And I focused in the class on the word thrive. You know, things are so different now. Things that always were changed. And it is this incredible experience of having new ideas and working with as I think Ken again said so well, the tendency to want to be disappointed or discouraged or frustrated, and it's so easy to go there, and you could visit there, but then the idea is that there's something within us that's bigger than anything outside of us. To thine own self be true. See, when we're growing up, often we get into roles. I ended up at one point studying family therapy because these systems that we grow up in are really interesting. You might have found yourself needing to be the good kid, to make the good grades. You might have found yourself the rebel. I have to break all the rules. But, I don't even, achieving is, too strange for me. You might have been the quiet one. It's always the peacemaker, or the funny one. And so the ability to thine own self be true is what is original for you, or what is true for you besides kind of the adaptation we had to do to fit in to whether it was a family or a culture or an education system. Folks may not learn sitting at a desk with standardized tests. So how does the creative mind achieve? How does the out-of-the-box person live? Well, welcome to Unity, because everyone here is seeking a place that isn't about dogma, that isn't about, I have to do it this way. In fact, traditional church might teach in a way, this is how you need to live, when Unity invites you to say, what matters to me in life? What inspires me to live? And it is a completely different way to not only do your life, but to feel this sense of freedom and aliveness. We were started, the beginning of New Thought. Churches were, and New Thought centers, let's say, were from the time of the Transcendentalists that decided, like Thoreau and Emerson, that God isn't outside, some way to behave for an outer God, but the idea of this inner knowing, this inner divinity that will guide us. And the chapter for this talk, the title of this talk is Trust Yourself and You'll Know What to Do. Trust yourself and you'll know what to do. So when you were told you need to be seen and not heard, this will be a whole different conversation. Trust yourself and you'll know what to do. But I'll tell you, the minute we turn toward the truth will set us free. So I have to bring a little humor into this, because boy, this can get heavy and serious, and it will not be part of the healing. So a lot of us wanted to make people like us, and we changed that authenticity. So I hope you'll like me, and we do this a lot with our parents, our kids, our families, our bosses. But these are three gentlemen that had left home. Their mother was elderly, and they were still vying for the best birthday present. All right, so there were three sons. They'd been out on their own and prospered. Then they were discussing the gifts that they were going to be able to give to their elderly mother. And they were sort of in competition, as happens when you're not living in your authentic self. Who's the mother going to like the best? So one of them said, I built a big house for our mother. And the second one said, I sent her a Mercedes with a driver. And the third one said, you remember how our mother enjoys reading the Bible? Now she can't see very well, so I sent her a remarkable parrot that recites the entire Bible. It took elders in the church 12 years to teach him. Mama just has to say the name of the chapter and the verse, and the parrot recites it. And the other two brothers that thought, that probably is the best gift. But soon thereafter, their mother sent out her letter of thanks. Milton, she said, the house you built is so huge. I live only in one room, but I have to clean the whole house. Gerald, she said, I'm too old to travel. I stay home most of the time, so I rarely use the Mercedes. And the driver is so rude. He's a pain. But Donald, she said, that little chicken you sent me was delicious. To thine own self be true. Yes, we do live a lot of this competitive life and spend a lot of time vying for attention. And I love that story because it's all often for naught in a way, if we haven't really connected with ourselves, and all relationships are sort of really an honoring of the greatest, the great principle of Namaste. I honor myself, and what is honoring in me honors you, and back and forth. So it is, it's funny how we can get lost in our need to be something beyond what we are, and our need to have the opinions of others be what we think is going to make us feel better about who we are. If you'll notice, people's feelings, and I've had to really look at this one for a long time, you'll never know why people feel the way they do. If you really spend a life wanting everyone to like you, you will become a multi-personality person very quickly, because people are doing what they're doing, and you certainly can come from the kindness inside of yourself, but recognizing that everybody's story comes from all the history they brought to that moment. So these are I always like to talk about what is the problem here. We're recognizing that we were told often we were not to speak. We were just to be heard and not, just to be seen and not heard. So the challenges can be, and see if you attach to any of these or relate to any of these. The problems in trusting ourselves. That we've developed a voice of fear from society, and that sort of empowers this voice of trust and of love. All right, we're attached to the opinions of others, and we compare ourselves to others. Instead of showing up as we are, we think we need to be perfect. Lack of courage and confidence to create our own path. We've been hurt, and when we start to trust ourselves or someone again, those feelings can resurface. We compare our outsides to other people's insides. So all of these things are part of being raised in ways that are not supportive of what is happening inside. That to go out and find your way, and you will be led and you will be guided. It is often, the world is scary. There's a lot of problems out there. It's fascinating. I moved from the East Coast over here to beautiful Santa Barbara recently. And on the East Coast, there's a lot of stories about lock everything, be careful, things are going to get stolen. And things do seem to be recycled in the universe. Things do tend to move around a lot there. And I came here, and some of our doors are open, and the back way is, people are walking back and forth. And I thought, oh dear, how does all this work? And I met the police officer that walks the property, and he said, I've been here 30 years, and Santa Barbara's a really safe city. And I'm like, wow, I'm getting to relearn, right? I'm getting to trust. I'm getting to have the experience of feeling different about trusting in the world. And trust is something that we develop, but it is the only way to have a sense of the life that is yours to lead. When we don't trust, our sense of generosity, our sense of well-being can be very diminished. And so the idea of sharing, of feeling a sense of generosity of spirit can be very impaired. So I want to show you a video. It's called The Cookie Thief. And I'd like you to recognize what can happen when we have this sense of distrust in the world.
A woman was waiting at an airport one night with several long hours before her flight. She hunted for a book in the airport shop, bought a bag of cookies, and found a place to drop. She was engrossed in her book, but happened to see that the man beside her, as bold as could be, grabbed a cookie or two from the bag between, which she tried to ignore to avoid a scene. She munched cookies and watched the clock as this gutsy cookie thief diminished her stock. She was getting more irritated as the minutes ticked by, thinking, if I wasn't so nice, I'd blacken his eye. With each cookie she took, he took one too, and when only one was left, she wondered what he would do. With a smile on his face and a nervous laugh, he took the last cookie and broke it in half. He offered her half as he ate the other. She snatched it from him and thought, oh brother, this guy has some nerve, and he's also rude. Why he didn't even show any gratitude? She had never known when she had been so galled and sighed with relief when her flight was called. She gathered her belongings and headed for the gate, refusing to look back at the thieving ingrate. She sank in her seat, then sought her book, which was almost complete. As she reached in her baggage, she gasped with surprise. There was her bag of cookies in front of her eyes. If mine are here, she moaned with despair, then the others were his, and he tried to share. Too late to apologize, she realized with grief that she was the rude one, the ingrate, the thief.
To thine own self be true, yes? So this idea, and this story is just really precious because it is this feeling of if I am not trusting, if I am not interested in developing more of a sense of trust, everything will feel like I don't have enough. Everything will feel that I am basically struggling for my good, struggling for this life. And so we can see that trust is such a spiritual tool, a thriving that we want to develop. So there is an acronym that I'd like to share around trust, and we can begin with this as we start leaning into how it is to feel a sense of well-being and trust in the world. And trust in the acronym is to rely upon Spirit totally. To rely upon Spirit totally. Oh my gosh, Penny, that is quite an image. Okay, there she is, to rely upon Spirit totally. And I wonder if we just want to put a hand on our heart as we reflect on this inner knowing, this still small voice, this place where you can become best friends with yourself. And we can say, to rely upon Spirit totally. Let's say that together. To rely upon Spirit totally. And breathe into that space. Yeah. Because I know our desire in this life is to have that sense of well-being and trust, to walk this planet as Jesus did, and Buddha, and Mother Teresa, and Martin Luther King Jr., and all of our spiritual teachers. And it is within all of us. It is absolutely, but like everything spiritual, if we're not paying attention to it, it can't grow. It won't be able to manifest in its fullest form. You know, from the Daily Word about faith, what is the size of the faith we need to have in this trust that's within ourselves, this sense of this still small voice? It's the size of a mustard seed, which is pretty darn small. So our opportunity today is just to start being curious about how much do I trust? How much trust do I feel in the world? How much trust do I feel for my own inner voice? Because most of us will look back and go, and we'll think two things. When you've known something about someone and you didn't trust it, and that whole scenario rolls itself out, you go, oh, I knew that. Or you'll see something about a house you're going to move into and you just go, oh, yeah, I'll get over that. And then it's something that really bothers you. Because this idea of to rely upon Spirit totally, what's within us? So let me tell you how Spirit shows up, how trust shows up, because it isn't anything that I think we like to see, which is convenient and these perfect ideas of what can happen. It's usually a very strange and somewhat inconvenient and surprising way that Spirit shows up. So Tama tells us that the main thing to do is show up, to come online, to be able to be engaged in spiritual conversation. And so she says, to me, there's a beauty, intelligence, and grace in showing up lopsided, showing up fitfully, showing up sporadically. Showing up is showing up. So if you're online right now and you're going, I don't really trust the world, you're here having a conversation about trust. And that's the beginning. So showing up, right? Because I think most of us want to have this great product of whoever we're trying to present ourselves to be rather than just showing up. The other piece that is, it comes often in a kind of a messy form. All of us were born, right? And the birth process is messy, and so is the process of trusting. So Tama goes on to say, inspiration doesn't always arrive smelling like sandalwood or frankincense. Sometimes it arrives like a drunken rebel in a library, shouting at you and ripping pages out of books. If you'll notice, most of your inspirations come at very interesting times. I think another one of our teachers that's lived out of his box and certainly followed his trust was Walt Disney. And Walt Disney, one of his quotes is he says, let's never forget that it all started with a mouse. Yes, but he says Mickey Mouse, which was the beginning of this wonderful world of childlike wonder that Walt Disney created. He said he and his brother lost all their funds on a beginning character that didn't work. And he was on a train, and it was about 20 years before, he was reflecting on this 20 years after things came to be through Mickey, on a train ride from Manhattan to Hollywood. And the fortunes had gone away with Roy, his brother Roy. And he said that in that moment, when he felt, completely devastated, the idea of Mickey Mouse appeared as he was drawing. So this idea of trusting, he certainly could have given up. A lot of us give up when we don't have something, come to us perfectly. I was always talking to Woody, other musicians, they didn't start playing and everything was perfect the first time you played. And please tell me it wasn't, or I'm going to really have to be upset. Okay, all right. So it's really that we're practicing the sense of trust by showing up, by doing what it is. Clearly, you love playing the piano, and finding that trust becomes a gift we receive as we lean into it. The other thing that Tama talks about is that your sense of what you're doing doesn't need to change the world. I mean, Ken is so involved in something that's really changing Santa Barbara, and many people know about him. But your inspiration, she said that it's interesting with her coaching clients that trusting the inner voice, sometimes they only want to trust their inner voice when they're going to study for an MBA or save the whales. She said, but the inner voice, the trusting that sense of you doesn't have to be about a cure for some illness. It just needs to be what it is. Maybe it's taking a walk. Maybe it is saying yes or saying no, but it's a place of becoming your own best friend. So we have some tools for self-trust that I'd like to tell you about, because this is a program, as Chrissy said, of application, of practicing. We call this practical spirituality. So first of all, you want to create a despair repair strategy. That if you are comparing yourself to someone, if you are looking at Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's house going, I want to live there. The idea is that you let yourself get off that hook, that you let yourself recognize that the life you really want is your life. And if we're clamoring after somebody else's life, we're really not putting the time into our own life. And secondly, you want to adopt a choose again practice. Most of us have regrets about things we haven't finished or things we haven't done. When I think about writing the book, I think of all the starts I've had. So the idea is that we're going to choose again. We're going to let go of the things that are not finished because it's finished. We're all here right in this breath. So whatever you need to do to let that go and forgive yourself, let it go. We're going to have a win list this week. I want you to look at the things where you feel like you're leaning into trust. What does that look like? It might be looking at the ways that you were experiencing distrust and you want to shift to trust. These win lists are just moving in the right direction. Just the tiny inner shifts that help you, depending more on your voice rather than the advice of others or the way that the world wants you to behave. And finally, when you're taking advice from others, I want you to see how you feel. When someone's giving you advice, is there a feeling of, oh, this person is the shoulder's relaxing and I feel like this person's really celebrating me? Or is there a feeling of being tense? Our friend Megan McDonough has a song, Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. And a lot of people will tell you that when they're giving you advice. I'm not paying attention to what I got to say, but you better pay attention to what I've got to say. So to be able to notice, how is it that when people are telling you, I've got this thought for you, does it feel like it is a relaxed, loving feeling or a more tense? So friends, I hope that you're recognizing that trust is a journey. None of us have had everything, be celebrating us at every moment of our lives. So we're recommitting to this idea of seeing the world differently, of seeing ourselves differently. And so we are committing to trust of ourselves, trust of others, and finally trust of this world. That it really is a place where you are born for a great and grand purpose. I don't think I used Steve Jobs' quote, and let's go over to that he talks about dogma. And he says that, like as I talked about unity, that we really don't have dogma, because he says, don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. And I think we can all agree, who thought you'd have a computer in your hands? But Steve Jobs allowed himself to trust what was coming through in the sense of his own gifts. And we all have gifts, and we all are, they are really waiting to be heard. So in closing, the idea is to remember that you are born and you are living from the creator of all things, that the universe is not outside of you, it's inside of you. You are deeply loved, and you are always deeply loved by this world in which we live. And I'm going to close with a quote from Hafiz, a Persian poet from the 14th century, and he talks about this kind of love, and I'd like you to listen to this, and y'all don't have it. Penny's like, where's that quote? So it's just, I want you to just take this in your heart as far as could be the parent. This is the way that you get to live in this world. Even after all this time, the sun never says to the earth, you owe me. Look what happens with a love like that. It lights up the whole sky. In the end, who is it that you want to be true to? To thine own self be true. No one has a better life than you. And so it is. So we're going to take our time to be with ourselves. We live a life of a lot of feeling of responsibility, of obligation, of schedule, a lot about a human doing rather than a human being. And so we let our breath guide us. You can see it like the wind blowing a flag. Just gently and easily breathing. Let's say a peace flag. And just recognizing that this inner wisdom of turning inside to trust is the ability to say, I'll show up for that. I just need the willingness the size of a mustard seed, and I'm on my way. God, love, the universe has never, ever given up on you because it is you. So we let ourselves rest in the silence, knowing that as I trust myself, I will know what to do. We shift from knowing to being, to living, to being present, and to being guided. So we feel grateful for the life that we're living. We, as the form in which you are, will never come again. You are beloved. You have everything you need. And our opportunity now is to let ourselves become best friends and completely committed to this inner knowing with one day and one step and one thought. Your life is the best life there is. Amen, and so it is. So we are now celebrating our generosity. There's cookies for everyone. And we give back. The law of circulation, the whole idea of prosperity, is really giving from where you have received. So it's a place of giving from fullness, from wholeness, and from being very, very blessed. So I wanted to tell you that one of the ways that, easy way to give to Unity of Santa Barbara is to download the Givelify app. That is where everything eventually ends up in Givelify. So you can download that app. I use it all the time just to make donations easily. I don't think you can get off the live stream to donate now, but when you do, there is on our website, there's the donate button. And then of course you can always mail a check to our office. And the main thing is that you give from a sense of well-being and fullness and love. And thank you all for supporting Unity of Santa Barbara for many, many, many years. And we feel huge gratitude for that. So if you'll put your love offering in your hand, or just put your hands together if you're giving in other ways, and we'll say our blessing of this one of many, many sources of good. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I share. And while you're giving, we are going to have our beautiful chant, I Am So Blessed, sung by our wonderful Prissy.
I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed.
Oh, beautiful. sea to shining sea.
Thank you, ladies. Oh my gosh, how beautiful. They wrote that last verse. I just think it's absolutely a prayer. So, a few announcements. We will be having our first community chat Tuesday at noon, so be on Zoom for that. There'll also be Wednesday, a new time, 5:30 for our meditation, and I'll be with Terry Wilder again with the gong. So we will be on Zoom this week, and next week we're going to be outside on the patio. All right, and then finally, I have a new radio show because I didn't have anything else to do. So I got on a wonderful radio show that was actually given to me, Divine Order. It's beautiful. It was from Rinaldo Brutoco, and he's giving me his show that he used to have with World Business Academy. I interviewed him for the first interview, and it is on KZSB 1290 AM from 5 to 6 on Fridays, and it's called Conversations That Count. And next week, I'll be interviewing Barbara Fields, the president of the Association of Global New Thought. So, and many of you may be ending up on the wonderful show. So I'll pass it back to Chrissy. Thanks for coming and being with us today. It's been an honor and a joy. To thy own self be true. There you go.
Thank you, Reverend Heidi. That was a delicious reminder for us all, and I love the acronym of TRUST.
To rely. Yeah.
Rely on Spirit totally.
There you go.
There you have it.
Oh, there you go. Sorry, we didn't. Yes, that's right. That was
Sorry,
mine.
maybe you didn't hear anything that I just said, but thank you, Reverend Heidi. That was a beautiful message about trust and relying on Spirit. And so I actually have another acronym for you, which is FROG. Now, frogs are green, which to me is that heart chakra, which is so great. But somebody once told me that frog is fully reliant on God. And we're all God. I'm God, you're God. So there it is. But let's join in and do the peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joy as well. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin
Thank you, Chrissy, for being with us today. Yes, and here we go. You're going to lead our prayer for protection? Oh. Yeah.
Thought I got off easy. All right, so every one of you will join me from wherever you are in this beautiful reality. Let's affirm that the light of God surrounds us. I am that light. The love of God enfolds us. I am that love. The power of God protects us. I am that power. The presence of God watches over us. I am that presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Have a great week, and thank you to our AV team again. They're the ones that get it all out there. Have a wonderful week.